A very good morning, children. How are you? I hope all of you are doing fine. This is your English teacher, Sonia Verma from Springfields Public School. Today, children, we are going to start chapter 12 of English language from your language book, that is Verbs, Active and Passive Voice. So, let us see what is active and passive voice first. A transitive verb is a verb which has an object after it. So, any sentence which has a transitive verb, it has two voices. First is active voice, second is passive voice. Let us take a look at this example. Sudha respects the teacher. So, respects is a transitive verb because it needs an object to complete its meaning. Sudha is the subject, the teacher is the object. So, when the subject of a verb also performs the action, Sudha is the subject of the verb and it is performing the action of respect, then the verb is said to be in the passive voice. So, Sudha respects the teacher, it is the active voice. When the subject of a verb also performs the action named in the verb is said to be in the active voice. So, this sentence, it is in active voice. Now, let us see this sentence. The teacher is respected by Sudha. Here, the subject of a verb is receiving the action named in the verb. The verb is said to be in the passive voice. Now, the same person, Sudha, she is receiving the action. She has become the object and the teacher has become the subject. So, the teacher, she is respected by Sudha. So, Sudha has taken the place of the object and the teacher has taken the place of the subject. Now, this verb, it is in the passive voice. Now, let us see a few rules by which we are going to do the conversion from active to passive voice. Rules to be followed while changing a sentence from active to passive voice. Only transitive verbs can be used in passive voice. So, only those sentences which have transitive verbs, which have an object after them, only they can be converted into passive voice. The preposition by, with, or in are often used for saying who or what caused the action. So, along with the subject, we use by to show who had caused the action. The past participle form of the verb is used. When we convert from active to passive voice, we use the third form of the verb. The subject takes the place of the object and the object takes the place of the subject. The tense of the sentences do not change, only the form changes. So, this also we are going to do in detail later. Now, let us see how we change the personal pronouns when we convert from active to passive voice. I changes into me, we changes into us, you remains you, he changes into him, she changes into her, they changes into them, and it remains it. So, these are the changes of the personal pronouns. Now, let us see the ditransitive verbs. On page number 97, you have ditransitive verbs. It means when there are two objects, double objects are there, that is called ditransitive verb. Let us take the example, he gave me a pen. So, the living object is known as the indirect object, that is me, and the non-living object is known as the direct object. Living object is known as the indirect object, non-living object is known as the direct object. So, these sentences, they can be converted into in two ways. First is, I was given a pen by him. A pen was given to me by him. Both the answers are correct. Now, let us see how we change the verbs which have been followed by prepositions. For example, she did not care for me. For is the preposition after the verb care. So when we change such sentences from active to passive voice, we keep the preposition in the same place. Active verbs followed by preposition, retain them when they are changed into passive voice. So preposition will remain in the same place. Now let us see how we are going to change from active to passive voice according to the tense. For example, present indefinite or simple present tense. Let us see in this along with the example simple present tense. She writes a letter. So we have changed this. When we have changed the verb, we change it into the third form of verb along with the auxiliary is. A letter is written. Since the active voice is in the simple present tense, so we are supposed to use either is, am or are, as you can see in this table, along with the third form of the verb. You can see in all the tenses we have used the third form of the verb. So in all the present tenses we retain the auxiliaries. In present indefinite we have used is, am, are. Present continuous we have used is, am, are. Present perfect we have used has, have. Now let us see the examples. Simple past tense, she wrote a letter. So since it is in the past tense, so we have used was as an auxiliary. A letter was written by her. Simple future tense, she will write a letter will be written by her. Present continuous tense, whenever we are having ing in the active voice, we use being in place of the ing along with the auxiliary. She is writing a letter is being written by her. She was writing a letter was being written by her. She has written a letter has been written by her. In the perfect tenses, we always use been along with the has, have or had. Only these particular tenses, they are having their passive voice. Remaining tenses, they do not have a passive voice. So that is all for active and passive voice, children. I am also sending you some sentences which you are going to do in your language notebook. Thank you. Have a nice day. Answer key will be sent to you in the evening.